Hi, folks. Hope you're okay today. It's good to be with you. I just want to talk about New Testament textual criticism, and just to give some thoughts about the manuscript and attestation of the New Testament, and also maybe some thoughts about the Old Testament as well. I'm just going to read a few quotes which might be of interest. The accuracy of the Dead Sea Scrolls convinced F. Bruce, Ryland's professor of biblical criticism and exegesis at Manchester University. The Jewish scribes of the early Christian centuries copied and recopied the text of the Hebrew Bible with the utmost fidelity. Sir William Ramsay, professor of classical art and archaeology at Oxford University, looked as a historian of first rank. Donald Wiseman, emeritus professor of Assyriology, says no fact of archaeology so far discovered um, contradicts biblical record. And Sir Frederick Kenyon said, who was the director and principal of the librarian of the British Museum, said the last foundation for any doubt that the scriptures came down to us was gone. So, just a few thoughts about the veracity of the text of the Bible, just generally speaking. I just want to talk about a few things about manuscripts. There are papyri manuscripts made from reeds. All this information that I'm giving you is from Dr. Wallace. You can listen to some of his videos on the Erman Project, and you can hear some of the things that he says there. If you type in Erman Project, you'll be able to listen to Dr. Wallace there and some really good talks there. But also, Dr. Wallace has done a lot of lectures on the New Testament text. He's an expert in this. He's done a lot of work and a lot of research. I don't necessarily agree with everything he says, but uh, my information that I'm giving you is from his lectures. Okay, he talks about there are papyri, which are made from reeds, and there are parchments, and that's important if you're doing textual criticism. Parchments were expensive because they were from animal skin, and it's only in the latter part of the early church to receive more parchments, uh, especially in the 4th century. There are nearly 6,000 New Testament manuscripts today. In those variants, within those manuscripts, there are many, many variants, but Dr. Wallace says that they are meaningless, most of them. Most of them are about spelling mistakes. He said there are two types of variants: unintentional variants, they didn't mean it, such as I think it's ditography, saying something twice, hypocrisy, they skip. Then there are intentional changes, where the scribes try to change something because maybe a word didn't seem right or etc. And this conflation where a mistake is made and in one text and it's passed over into other texts, but it's seen as one variant. With theological changes, and they're easy to spot. But we have a great crowd of witnesses, 6,000 of these manuscripts. Now, here's an important point. The wider basis of comparison that you have makes your text stronger in believing that you have the original text. 40% of the manuscripts that we have come from the 4th century. If we compare the utter vast riches of the New Testament copies of ancient manuscripts, and if we compare them to, say, the copying of Plato, there are vast differences. Vast differences. He makes a point which is important, that within the first 150 years of the New Testament being copied, the originals would have been around, which would have given the quality of the text being copied more strength, more veracity, more accuracy. Some texts that we have are Codex Sinaiticus, 4th century, Codex Vaticanus, 4th century. We have some earlier papyri, archaeological finds, P46 of Paul, beginning of Hebrew, P66, late 2nd century, John 1:14, chapter 14, P75, 20 papyri, etc. 200 papyrus, beginning of John, P52, second papyri, John 18:31, etc. So, Dr. Wallace says, what is a variant? Among the manuscripts there are variants in wording, in word order, etc. So, I've given you a few pointers from Wallace's writing and lectures. He makes this point. In all the manuscripts that we have of the New Testament, there are over 2 million pages. There are 10,000 Latin copies of the New Testament. There are copies in Syriac, Armenian, in other ancient languages, etc. The average, so if you think about what we have 6,000 New Testament copies, we have thousands and thousands of Latin copies, etc. Just thousands. The average classical work, we have about 20 copies. 20 copies. So compare that from 20 copies to 6,000. There's a massive difference. Pliny, we have 27 copies. Plutarch, 8. And Josephus, 5 to 20 copies. About 20 copies. In the time span, we have copies within the first couple of 100 years of the New Testament. The time span of some of these ancient writers, Plutarch, we have a copy of his when he comes 800 years after, Josephus 800 years after, Herodotus 1,500 years after, etc. So that's just a few things about textual criticism, that the more and more manuscripts that we have, the more and more we're able to see what the original text is. That God in his providence has preserved all this wonderful copying. When you compare it to the Quran, There aren't thousands of copies of ancient Qurans. There's only a handful. There aren't many, and yet there are thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of copies of ancient Qurans. Sorry, ancient New Testament, ancient New Testaments. The more we have, the more we're able to compare and contrast. The less copies you have, the less accurate you will. That's why you need to not be skeptical about the New Testament or about the Bible. It's the most well-attested ancient document in ancient history. Alright? Thank you for listening, and God bless you.